All right, those of you who are online, I apologize for a moment. Our Wi-Fi went out here at the building, and it looks like it's pretty weak. So hopefully you'll be able to keep up and follow with what we're doing. If it goes out again, that's okay. We'll if it goes out tomorrow, I'm teaching this class again, so I may just post the class for tomorrow. Um, no, chapter one. All right, so as we get ready, my goal is to potentially get through chapters one and two today, potentially. Um, I go to Canvas, 2301, section one. All right, so in the modules for the chapters, I have had these in-class discussion notes. Okay. If you want to download those and you can follow along if you want to, or you can just simply upload your notes that you took during class. It doesn't necessarily have to be this particular page. Okay, and so if you upload that to this extra credit assignment, so basically take a picture, upload it to the extra credit assignment. At the end of the semester, I will add 0.25 points to your final average. Okay, so we have 10 chapters. If you upload your notes for all 10 chapters, how many points do you get?
2.5.
2.5 points. So if you have an 88, I can bump you up to a 90, right? It's not designed if you're like at a 70th, you're not going to get bumped up to an A. Okay. It's not that kind of extra credit. It's just enough that if you are right there on the edge between one letter grade and the next, that it'll bump you up over into that next letter grade. Okay. So I used to print out these notes pages, but with the fact that I have so many students, I don't feel like it would be a good use of paper to print it out every single time. Okay. Because a lot of students actually didn't even use them last semester. And so I don't want to waste the paper. So you can either, again, download this document and you can fill it out digitally. If you want to print it out and bring it to you or bring it in advance, that's fine too. Bring it with you. Um, but or if you can just want to take notes on a piece of paper. Okay. This discussion notes, it kind of follows the presentation. So it kind of helps you fill in the blanks rather than trying to write all the information down. But again, if you just upload a picture of your notes to this extra credit opportunity, then I'm fine with that. It does not have to be this particular work notes page. All right. Questions, comments, concerns about that extra credit? Okay. Last thing, my announcements. So yesterday I did post the fall volunteer event sign up. I saw a few of you already signed up for some of them. That's great. Thank you so much. Um, there is one here that is for the Thursday classes only. But if you would like to still volunteer, you're more than welcome to come and volunteer. Okay. We're going to be there from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. At this event on Thursdays, which is next Thursday, September the 11th. Okay. So you're welcome to come to that one if you'd like to. The street taco cook-off, the date is still to be determined. They sent me 4 dates yesterday. They were either Saturday or Sunday. So it's going to be during the weekend this year, right around, um, I think it was the 25th, 26th, or the 1st and 2nd. So I'm letting them pick the date. So as soon as that's available, I will let y'all know. Okay. Just a reminder for the Street Taco Cook-Off, your entire team of three needs to sign up. So one person's going to sign up all three people at the same time. Okay. On the same form. Anything that's incomplete, I'm going to toss that out and go to the next full complete team. Okay, so the person who is signing up for your team, make sure they have all your email addresses. All right, that's all I have. let's jump into chapter 1. For chapter 1, the assignment that's going along with chapter 1 is the defining control. Okay, I know a lot of y'all already did define control because the due date was this last week, or earlier this week. And so, traditionally, I don't like to assign a homework until after we've talked about it in class. Okay. Um, and so if you do see a homework and we haven't talked about it in class yet, okay, just let me know. Maybe I wanted to last week cover chapter 1 on Wednesday, but I didn't quite get there. And so sometimes our calendar gets a little off. And so if you ever see an assignment, they're like, hey, we haven't gone over this in class, chances are I just haven't adjusted the due date. Okay. So if you have not done defining control, that's okay. You can still turn it in and I won't take off points. Okay. So I'm going to go through chapter 1 relatively quickly just because a lot of you did the defining control and a lot of you did really well on the defining control assignment. And then I want to jump into chapter 2, which is like the bulk of what we're going to be talking about today. Okay. So what is the relationship between cost and profitability? When I say cost and profitability, there's a relationship. So what is the relationship between cost and profitability?
I think of it as like a push and pull. Like if you have more costs, you have less profitability.
Okay, excellent. So if cost goes up, then our profitability is down. Okay. And if we can keep our cost down, our profitability can go up. Okay. Now we have to, as business owners in hospitality and culinary and restaurants and baking, we have to find that fine line. Okay. We don't want to lower costs so much that we're sacrificing the quality of our product because then people aren't going to buy it. Right? So we have to figure out what that fine line is as far as the cost. And that's what we're going to talk about throughout this class is what does that mean as far as the how do we manage our cost to keep our profit higher? Okay. So we know from last week on Wednesday, we talked about that profit and loss. What is the formula for profit or loss? How do I determine if I'm operating at a profit or if I'm operating at a loss?
Sales minus expenses, is that it?
Sales minus expenses. Okay. So we have sales and expenses. Our profit or loss is equal to our sales minus expenses. We always have to do sales first. Okay. So without even doing any math, are we going to have a profit or are we going to have a loss for this first example?
Profit.
Why profit?
Because sales is bigger than expenses.
Sales is bigger than expenses. That means when we subtract these two, we're going to end up with $5,000. Okay. So that's my profit. It's a positive number. Number 2, profit or loss?
Loss.
This is a loss because our expenses are $100 more than our sales. Okay. That means we spent $100 more than all the money that we brought in. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about profit and loss. We're going to go into that a little bit more when we talk about budgeting. All right. So, oops. So we have 3 different types of costs. Okay. Fixed costs. Which one represents the fixed costs?
C.
Why is it C?
Because it never changes. It never
Because why?
changes. It just stays there.
Yeah, look, our costs just stay flat. So our costs never change. It doesn't matter what happens to our sales. Our sales can go up and down, but our cost stays the same. Those are fixed. It does not matter how much business we have. We still have to pay those. Okay. What are some examples of fixed costs? Rent is definitely one. Salary. Okay. Doesn't matter if we have one person walk in or we have 1,000 people walk in. I got to pay that manager the same amount of money if they're on salary. Okay. What about variable cost?
B. Oh, you said variable?
Variable, yep,
It'll be A.
is A. Why A?
Because it has the highest amount of change.
So not necessarily about the highest amount of change. I see where you're going with the cost line. They're parallel to each other, right? So this gap, this line is the same distance no matter where I draw it on the graph. So that means the variable, what it means is as our sales increase, our costs also increase in the exact same proportion. Okay? So that makes sense. If I have more customers to feed, I have to spend more money on food. If I'm busier, then I have to spend more money on labor. Okay, I have to bring more people in to bus the tables, more cooks to cook, more servers to serve, more bussers to bus. All right, the busier I am, the higher my costs are going to be. But we want our sales to move in the exact same way. So if our sales go up, so do our costs. But if our sales go down, our costs also need to go down. Okay? And so what are some examples of variable costs?
Labor.
Okay, so I'm going to say wages. Those are our hourly employees. Okay, what else? Food and beverages. Okay, so the ingredients, those are variable costs. Okay, semi-variable, we now know, is going to be letter B. You can see as our sales go up, so do our costs. As our sales come down, so do our costs, but not in the exact same proportion. Okay, and the reason why that is because this is what we call labor. Labor as a general term includes salary and wages. Okay, so that's why it doesn't go in the exact same amount, because the labor includes both salary, which is a fixed cost, and wages, which is a variable cost. So it's semi-variable. Okay. When we come to controllable versus non-controllable, controllable is our variable. And this is our fixed. Why can we control our variable costs?
Because it changes.
So it does change, but why? How can we control our variable costs?
Oh, like if we're buying food for the restaurant, we could change how much food, how much ingredient we buy.
Yeah.
Bag, we could add more.
So depending on what our sales are going to be, we can either buy more or buy less. So we can change that. Okay. What else? How about with those wages? How can we impact our costs with wages?
If you're not selling a lot, you don't have to keep as many people working.
Exactly. How many of you, any of y'all been a server before? What happens when it gets slow? We're gonna cut down the floor. So we're gonna go from 4 servers to only 2 servers, and then eventually only 1 server, because that's all we need. If I have more people on, that means more money I'm spending on labor, and I'm not bringing in the revenue to bring that in. So to do that, prime cost is food, beverage, and labor. That is equal to our prime cost. Food cost, beverage cost, and labor cost. The reason why this is what we call our prime cost, is because these are our most controllable. Those are our most controllable costs. Did I spell that correctly? Controllable. Is there two L's? Yes, there is. Let me add an L right there. Okay. So it's our most controllable costs. I can determine how much food to buy. I can make sure that my employees are using FIFO and product is not spoiling. Okay. I can ensure that I send people home if it's really busy. Or sorry, if it's not really busy. Okay. So that's our most controllable costs. Our food cost is typically food and beverage is usually about 30 to 33%. And our labor is between 30 to 35%. Okay, 30 to 35%. Now this is kind of an industry standard, right? But if you take an average of the entire industry, fast food is going to have different margins, different profit margins than, let's say, a fine dining steakhouse. Okay, fine dining steakhouse, we have less guests and we have more service, right? There's probably a busser, there's probably a table captain, a section captain, there's probably a server, there's food runners. All that extra labor is going to increase our labor costs, okay? But at the same time, if we are working at a fast food restaurant, we've got customers coming in and out all the time, right? And we have got like a small group of people that's producing all that food relatively quickly. So this is an industry standard, but if you are a breakfast place, oftentimes breakfast has a lower food cost percentage because the ingredients are a little bit cheaper to make the food, whereas a steakhouse, you're paying prime protein prices. And so your profit margin might be a little bit different. All right, so we know how to calculate food costs. Well, you use what tool?
The triangle.
The triangle. Okay, what goes on the top? Cost. And on the bottom is percent and sales. Our division line and our multiplication line. Okay. We'll do more of this, I believe, in chapter 4. All right, some cost saving ideas. What example did I give in the pre-class videos? What ingredient was I looking at in the pre-class videos for a cost savings idea?
The lemons?
Yes, thank you. Somebody watched my videos. Is the lemon. How many of you like lemon with your tea?
Me.
Okay. How many of you do not like lemon with your tea?
I don't.
Okay, so there's a few of us that don't like lemon with our tea, but the standard is you bring a lemon wedge with your iced tea. If you serve that to me, what am I going to do? I'm going to take
Put
that
it on the side.
off to the side. Exactly, right? I'm not going to enjoy that. And so then it's just going to end up in the trash. And so if we can take just a few moments, not even moments, seconds, and just say, would you like lemon with your tea? That's going to prevent me from putting lemon on Mr. Uminski's tea or some of y'all's tea. And then that lemon's not going to end up in the trash. And you think, Mr. Uminsky, a lemon slice is not that big of a deal. Okay, let's figure out if it's a big deal. Let's say we serve 250 teas. Okay, in a day. And let's say that 30% of our people, okay, 30% of our people don't like lemon with their iced tea. What is 250 times 0.3? I need you guys to help me out with this math so we can move forward really quickly. What is 250 times 0.3? What's that?
75.
75.
75? Okay, thank you. So 75 people are just going to take that lemon and put it away. Okay? A lemon slice, a lemon makes how many slices?
6.
Let's say 6. Okay, we're going to say 6 slices out of 1 lemon. Okay? And how much does our lemon cost?
35 cents.
25.
No.
They're more like 50 cents, $1 now. Right? Let's call it $1.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Okay?
really a dog.
It's $1. Well, you know what? For some ease of math, let's call it 60 cents. Okay? So it's 60 cents per lemon. Divide by 6 slices is how much per slice?
10 cents.
10 cents per slice. So now we come over
7.50.
here, and this 75 cents per slice multiplied by 10 cents is how much?
750.
$7.50.
$7.50 today.
Recording in progress.
Now, 360 days a year. What is $7.50 times 360? Because we're gonna be closed 5 days a year.
2007.
How much?
2007.
2007?
700.
Oh, 2,700. Okay. What could you do with an extra $2,700? And that's a lemon wedge. A lemon wedge. When I worked at Chester's Hamburgers, one of my side duties, if it was really slow, was to pre-package to-go bags. I would take the to-go bag, I put 2 napkins, 2 salt, 2 pepper, and 2 ketchup packets. Napkins, salt, pepper, ketchup. Yep, 2 of each. And put it in the bag, right? And I do a box of 50 bags. And that way, if I grab that box, I know it has at least 50 bags in it. Okay? That was my side duty. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean, right? So there's something you should be doing while you're on the job, okay? Now my side duty. And I thought, why? This is so stupid. 16 years old. I'm like, why am I having to make these to-go bags? This is so ridiculous. What happens when a guest walks up and I'm really busy? Because I have a line of 15 hamburgers right behind me, and they're picking up their to-go order, and they ask me, can I get some ketchup? What am I going to do? Am I going to reach in there and get 2 packages of ketchup and put them in the bag? I'm going to get a whole handful of ketchup because I'm busy. I'm not going to count 2. I'm just going to grab a handful and put it in the bag. Each one of those ketchup packets costs something. So we have that to-go item. When we have that item, that ketchup packet is an ingredient in that cost of that item. Okay? So what are some other cost savings ideas that you can think of? Or maybe things that you implement at your job?
Even though they're disgusting, switching from paper towels to the air blower.
Okay, switching from paper towels to the air blowers. Okay. We might want to do like a cost benefit analysis. So what happens to our electricity bill versus purchasing paper towels? Okay. But that's a good idea. Yes.
So I work in the deli for HEB, and a lot of people don't want the end, but I'll ask them first. I'll be like, hey, like, this is the end. Do you want it? The majority of the time they say yeah. They're like, yeah, that's fine, it's whatever, because it's for a sandwich.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, okay. And that seems us like a big chunk like this.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So just asking if people want that. That's good. Very cool. I like that idea. What else? Some other cost savings ideas.
Mm,
Let's get one more before we move on.
Chicken stock.
Chicken stock. So what do you mean by chicken stock?
Bones using
Okay, yeah, absolutely. So if we have whole chickens, right? If we debone that chicken, or let's maybe we make rotisserie chickens, rather than just deboning that chicken and throwing away the bones, we can take that and then make stock out of it. Absolutely. That's a great idea. Okay. So then we're using that ingredient basically twice. Okay. At HEB, when you guys see that shredded chicken that's in the little nice container, I don't mean to blow anybody's
Yeah.
burst anybody's bubble, but that was yesterday's rotisserie chickens that didn't sell. So then they just take the meat off the bone. Yes, no. Lauren's saying no.
We've worked there. That's what they do.
Well, it depends on which chicken you're buying.
It's true.
Depends on which chicken.
Okay.
Like for the flaming bird, that is yesterday's chicken.
Yeah.
Cook it like day A, you shred it day A, and then we put it in our cooler so it cools down. So on day B, we warm it up again and you sell it.
Okay. Cool. There's ways that you can reuse product in a creative way, right? Maybe take that chicken and make a chicken salad out of it. Okay, so lots of different ways that we can do that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our actual performance to what our performance standard was supposed to be. So what were we supposed to do? What actually happened, and we're going to compare that. Okay, and so variance is just basically the way of saying the difference. So variance is equal to the actual minus the budgeted. And the way I remember that is just alphabetical order. A minus B. So actual minus the budgeted. That's how I remember that. Because again, we have to do the actual, what actually happened, subtract what we budgeted, what we wanted to have happen, and that will give us our difference. Okay? So in this case, our sales, our food sales, we budgeted to be $100,000, but we actually only brought in $90,000. So our difference is 10,000, and that percentage is a negative 10%, which means I did not quite get my goal of 100,000. So tell me, thumbs up, is this negative 10, or is this difference of $10,000? Is that a good number or is it a bad number? What do we think? Thumbs up for good, thumbs down for a bad number. What do we think? Thumbs sideways for I'm not really sure how to read that. Okay. The answer is, it depends. Okay, this is one piece of the puzzle. I don't know what the other pieces look like. If my costs were also down by 10%, well, then that's an okay number. Okay, it's not great because I'm not bringing in as much money in, but at least my costs are also low. If my costs are high and my sales are down, that's definitely not a good situation. Okay, so again, it kind of depends. You have to look at the whole picture, which is what we're going to do in chapter 2. Yes.
Is it always A minus B?
Always minus actual minus budgeted. Always, always, always. Just like in profit and loss is sales minus expenses. Because remember, we're taking what we actually did and we want to subtract what we thought we were going to do. And then that will give us a positive or negative number. Good question. So let's do another couple of examples. So we budgeted for 250,000, but our actual sales were 275,000. What is the difference?
25.
25,000 is our difference. Okay. And then to get this variance, we're going to take the difference and we're going to divide by the budgeted number. Okay. We're going to divide by that budgeted number. So again, this is the part, right? $25,000. And the budget is where we wanted to do. So in this case, 25,000 divided by 250,000 is how much?
10,000.
0.10, which we know is equal to 10%. So that means I'm 10% over budget. That 25% is 10% over budget. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns about where I got that 10%?
How did you get to 10%?
How did I get the 10%? Okay. So I subtracted the actual minus the budget. That's my difference. Okay. So that means I made $25,000 more than I budgeted. Okay. Then I take that difference number, 25,000, and I divide by my original budget number. Whatever that original budget number is, I divide by that. Because I want to know how much did I go above or below my budget with the difference. So that difference is the part, and that budgeted number is the whole. Okay. We'll do another example. Covers. So budget is not always financially related. Covers are what? What are covers?
A person, like a ticket. Like their meal.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a person. So basically saying we have 680 guests. Okay. So what is 680? That's what I actually had minus 750.
-70.
Negative 70. You see how we have to do actual minus the budgeted? Because then this negative, that means we were short. Okay. We were short 70 people. So now we take that 70, or we can do negative 70, divided by 750. That's the original budgeted number. And we get what? 0.09. And what's the third number? 3 repeating. Okay. So that's going to be rounded up. We're going to move that decimal place over 2 spots. And that's going to be 9.3%. And since we were short, it's a negative 9.3%. Since it was short, we have a negative 9.3%. Okay. Is that negative 9.3 a bad number?
If it's busier.
It depends. Okay, good. What if our servers were just rock stars and we sold appetizers to every single person, and just because our covers were down, our sales were still up? Okay, so whenever we look at just one number, it's hard to say, is that a good number or a bad number? The answer is usually, it depends. And that's your role as a manager. Once you get to that supervisor position, you have to be able to justify, look at the numbers, and explain to somebody why the numbers are the way they are. And you have to be able to justify whether your numbers are good or bad. Okay. And it's always a great way to be able to look at the numbers and in some way be able to interpret them to say, yes, I know this number looks bad. 9.3% looks bad. However, if we compare that to our sales that are up and our costs are down, then we're in a good spot. Okay. This class is done at 9:25, right? Or 9:20.
9:25.
25.
8:10 plus an hour and 15 minutes.
9:25.
It's 9:25. Okay. 9:25, 20 minutes. Let's look at chapter 2. I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording. And then that way I'll create